Welcome back to another Aerodragon Labs video. My name is Aiden, and this video is an overview of how to build the Zenith Express kit. If you don't know what the Zenith Express kit is, I'll leave a link to it in the description below. It was built in collaboration with Chuck McNeese. He helped design it, and he helped create all the plans for it. He's a really cool guy. He's also known as the Rocketeer on YouTube. He has some amazing rocket videos, and I implore you guys to go check him out. So without further ado, let's get into it. Okay, when you get your Zenith Express kit and you open it up, you will have a number of parts. The first two are the main body pieces. Next, you will have 4 fins, the nose cone, the body tube, 4 feet of Kevlar cord for your shot cord, and then the launch lug, the body's connector, and then the 2 mounting pods, along with a few nuts and bolts that will actually act as your motor retention. In order to put this together, you're going to need some glue. We recommend the E6000 glue, but I'm going to be using just some clear Gorilla Glue today. Also, if you have a motor on hand, that makes this a bit easier. I'll explain that in a second. So, the first thing you're going to want to do is you're going to want to glue in the motor tube into this part right here. Alright, now that that is glued in, I'm going to set it aside and we're going to work on the body connector. This is the body connector, and you might notice that it is sanded down. That's because I just do a rough fit on all the pieces and make sure they all fit, and I'll sand it down for you if it doesn't, in case you guys don't have like any power tools or anything. So you'll notice that it has a hole with a pocket here and a corresponding pocket and hole on here. What we're going to do is we're going to take our shot cord, our Kevlar cord, we're going to tie a little knot in the end, cut off any extra, and then what we're going to do is we're going to thread it through that hole, like so. Pull it through, and then it's in there. And I would just say add a drop of glue right there. That way it basically never comes out. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to take that same glue and spread some around only the bottom half of this connector piece, not the top half. On the outside and on some of the inside. There you go. Now we're going to take that top piece, our top piece of the rocket, and we're going to put it in right here. It doesn't matter which way it goes because it's all the same, but we're just going to slide that in, and then we're going to take the thread and put it through the bottom like so, so that when we pull it through, now we have a shot cord that's nicely attached inside there, and it's not going anywhere. And once that glue dries, then it really won't go anywhere. But I'm going to set this aside, and then I will come back when they're both dry. Okay, now that this is mostly dry, we're going to come back to it. So the reason I said you wanted the motor from earlier is because if you insert the motor into here, it will help you not crush this tube when you put the fins in. And you may have to sand down the edges of the fins a tiny bit. You can see on this one I did a tiny bit, but it's minimal at best. So what you're going to do is you're just going to apply a little bit of glue to the root of the thing, if there's any glue left in here. Yep, so a little bit of glue to the root of the fin, and then on either side just a tiny bit, and then it's going to go in like so, and it slots in nicely, as long as Yep, as long as the motor can move freely, you're not crushing that tube. Alright, now I'm going to reset this aside and let it dry. The next step we can do is to tie the shot cord onto the upper section, or tie the shot cord onto the nose cone. So and this can be a little tricky, it's a little finicky, but it's very much doable. So if you just bend that like that, you can then put one finger in here and actually, it helps if you have not necessarily scissors, but some sort of pliers or snips work really well too. You can reach in there and then pull it straight through. And then we're just going to tie a knot like so, and then you can tie a better knot later and end up also gluing it. I'm not going to do that now because I want to be able to take it off later. But now that that's on there and that this is dry, you basically have a shot cord that you can then just make a little loop right here. And there, now you have a loop for your parachute and it's fully connected. The fins are mostly dry now, which means we get to put on the launch lug. Now, the launch lug, you kind of have to look at it. There goes the motor. You have to look at it like it's vertical, right? So it goes on, because this model is angled, so you have to put it on like this, and then so it goes on like this. Basically the bigger end goes towards the bottom and the other end goes towards the top. I know, real descriptive, but the taller end goes aft and the shorter end goes fore. So this is really easy. It's got a slot right here that goes on. It does move around a little bit, but I'll have that fixed soon. And basically you just have to center it. So apply some glue to that face, apply some glue to this face. Wiggle it around a little bit so it's all nice and uniform, like so, and then bam, just glue it on like that. And alright, I'll let that glue dry and then we'll come back, and the final thing to glue on is these two pods, which the motor mount screws go in. Okay, now that the fins are completely dry, this is completely dry, and this is completely dry, and I just put the nose cone on right here so the shot cord isn't everywhere. But now that all that's dry, the last thing we have to glue on, other than gluing these two halves together, is going to be these two pods. These pods have holes in the bottom, and that's what actually you screw the screws into for the motor retention, right? So they go on either side. So if this is here, one goes here and one goes here. And they have a contour. Right here, you can see they have a contour that allows you to it basically just not snaps, but like it fits the rocket so that it mostly ends up going straight like that. So I'm going to take my glue, and again, I recommend that you guys use if you guys don't know what glue you should buy, I recommend E6000 glue, but clear Gorilla Glue also works really well. There's a few others too, but pretty much any glue. Just with the pods, you kind of have to only do one at a time because they'll slide. But I'm going to put some glue there, and then I'm going to kind of cheat, just because I know how they go. I'm going to use some super glue to actually just adhere it faster. That way I can turn it over and do the next one. So I'm just going to put a tiny triangle of super glue right there. And then very carefully, because the super glue will cure almost instantly, I'm going to line it up and press it down flat. Make sure it's all nice and straight. Hold it for about 20 seconds until that's glued. Okay, now for the other one, we're going to do the exact same thing. Okay, now that these two pods are glued on, and you can see that they're nice and straight, that contour really helps make them straight on the body. You can't actually see them when they're like straight up and down. You can only see this part, but they do look cool, at least in my opinion. So now that you have this, the very last step is to just glue the things together, like so. So, now that that's done, the very, 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 very last step, and this step is completely optional, but what I am going to do is going to take some of these paint markers that I have, and I'm going to paint the rivets. Alright, I hope you guys enjoyed building this kit. If you didn't, or if you ran into any problems, definitely message me on Etsy or comment on this video and I'll see what I can do. I want to make sure you guys are all satisfied if you buy this kit, so make sure you reach out if there's a problem. Secondly, make sure to check out Chuck's channel and my channel. We're both working on some really cool projects and I think you're going to love them. Also, me and Chuck are planning to design an entire line of retro rockets, so if you liked this one, subscribe, that way you don't miss out when we release the next one. Along with those retro rockets, we're also planning to do some flying saucers, and if you guys have any ideas, definitely drop them below, because I could probably make them a reality. With that all said, never forget to ignite the skies, and I'll see you in the launch field.